Intellectual stew. Intellectual stew with James Kirkland.
Powerful and provocative, prophetic and practical,
Intellectual stew.
informative and inspirational. How you gonna do better if you don't know what better looks like? I do.
Intellectual stew.
Come on, let's talk about it with me, the mind massager.
Intellectual stew. Intellectual stew with James Kirkland.
Powerful and provocative, prophetic and practical,
Intellectual stew.
informative and inspirational. How you gonna do better if you don't know what better looks like? I do.
Intellectual stew.
Come on, let's talk about it with me, the mind massager.
Intellectual stew.
Oh, I hate that keychain. I like that.
Intellectual stew with James Kirkland.
I gotta re-upload that file. That's horrible. Hey, what's up? What it do? Time for another episode of the Intellectual Stew. Let me make sure I'm transmitting. With yours truly, James Kirkland. And let me start this off by letting you know that I'm tired. But the show must go on, so I am here. So go ahead and share this with someone. Let them know that we're on and we're going to have a little discussion. We might not be as long as normal. Let me stop this music. We might not be on as long as normal tonight. Typically, I mean, honestly, that 100% depends on you. If because I don't have any notes, I don't have. I got a little agenda, slight agenda, but not too much of an agenda. So it's open mic night. Let me get on here, see who I got listening. If you're in the chat, say hello, say hi. Let me know you're there. If you're coming in, please hit that button that says that you accept the permissions. So you allow the permissions to show your name. So that way I will be able to converse and interact with you on tonight. What's up, though? What it do? It's time for another episode of the Intellectual Stew. Have you shared this with anyone yet? And if you have not shared it with anyone yet. Now, somebody said last week they didn't understand what I meant when I said something about the permissions. Right here it says, we're above the video, it should say I'm going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment, please grant StreamYard permission to see your name. And if you click on that, then I will be able to see you. And once I see you, I'm able, like I said, to interact with you. So I just got back. I've been out of town for 6 days. So I just got back in town. I went to Arkansas. Then I drove over to Texas to work. And then I came back to Arkansas to see my parents. And then I had a 7 o'clock flight this morning. So my day is like really, 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 really discombobulated. But I didn't want to take off because I'm ready to get started in our series on next week. Next week, we're going to start a new series called Show Us How to Date You. But before I get into that, did y'all get a chance? I was working, but I still had my laptop up, and I got a chance to see my friend, not my friend, but Deion Sanders in Colorado. I think they had a really, really good redemption story this week compared to what happened when they went to Oregon. They might have been somewhat overwhelmed, but the way they bounced back, I don't know what he did to motivate them, but whatever it was, I think it silenced a lot of critics. And it's so sad. It's so sad. I know everybody has their opinions, but one thing I don't want to see anybody do is fail. And he is doing, and I think he's doing a wonderful job. So I want to commend Colorado Buffaloes. Yeah, give me my bandwagon certificate. Give me my application, whatever you want to call it. I'll take it. Give me my bandwagon application. It's mine. I got it. I want it. Give it here. I deserve it because I promise you every week, as long as they are playing on TV, or if I, well, I only have to. They only have to be playing on national TV. But any week that they're playing, I'm going and I'm available. I am going to try my best to make sure that I am watching them. So let's get this going. Now, next week, I am going to start a new series called Show Us How to Date You. Show Us How to Date You. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring on various women, and I'm going to ask them certain questions on behalf of men, on behalf of women. I'm going to let them tell their stories. And I want to hear, because we seem to have such a hard time communicating between the sexes. It's so hard to communicate. I mean, I heard one author one time say that men are from Mars and women are from Venus. And all these things, and so many things seem to work to keep us divided. And I'm gonna be honest, this was for me, it's been somewhat of a culture shock. Look like a little, I don't know, these little fruit flies. Looks been somewhat of a culture shock for me, because after being married for 20 plus years, well, 20 years, right at 20 years. I got married in 1998. Cell phones were barely out at that time. Internet was a very new thing. Online dating was nothing. I'd never heard of it. We were still, I think, had we even started dealing with MySpace yet? It was just a different time. And so after 20 years, getting divorced in 2019 and coming out in this society, it was just different. It was just different, especially when as a man getting ready to start to try to date. And it seemed like people were trying to push me into dating. I was nowhere near ready, but people kept on trying to push me. But then there were so many restaurants, and then there's so many options. And then you got this side of town, and then this side of town. And then Atlanta is huge. So do you want to, is it worth driving to Snellville to meet somebody? I mean, it's just so much to think about, right? And so that's why it was so funny. Because I'll be honest, I have not done much dating. I haven't done much dating because I wasn't going to waste anybody's time, especially for those first couple of years. I was not ready. And the last thing I needed to be doing was bleeding on anyone else. But I remember one specific time that I did try to date, though. And she was so compassionate. I had to give it to her. She was like, you're new at this, aren't you? I said, yes. She said, okay, this is what you do. Go online, look at the restaurant. And I got it down. I got to going online, looking at the menu up front. I ain't want to be caught off guard as far as how much the menu was, all these types of things, right? But even when I tried to date, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. So it wasn't like I was just going to waste that person's time. But what I did with this podcast is I could have gone to counseling, probably should have gone to counseling, but rather than going to counseling, I put a metaphorical mirror in front of me, and I started to look at my life, right? And I looked at the things that I had done, the mistakes that I had made, my shortcomings, all of those types of things, and really started to do a real assessment of James, right? I mean, a real come to Jesus. So just looking at James in the mirror, and I saw some deficiencies. I saw some things that needed to be fixed. And prior to going into a relationship, I wanted to make sure those things were fixed because I wanted to present the best version of myself. So a lot of the issues that I was dealing with, I put them on display on the podcast. And I remember we started doing this series once before. And the reason I think I started doing this series about showing us how to date you is because we were doing one of those shows, and I had a panel on that particular day. And there was a young lady that came in the comments, and I could detect, I know that text have no tone. You really can't, but I could almost detect the passion in her text, because she said, well, men don't know how to date. And so I stopped the show. I said, oh, whoa. Let's unpack what you just said, because you just said something, and you might have meant it as a slight, or you might not have meant it as a slight. You might have really just been talking, but it can be viewed as a slight. And so I wanted her to look at it a different way. Rather than saying men don't know how to date, I said, what if men don't know how to date? If we don't, do you allow that? If you like him enough, or if you're interested in him enough, do you allow the fact that he doesn't know how to date right now to stop you from going? Because you could teach him. You could share with him some of the things that you like. I like to often use the expression that you can give him breadcrumbs, right? You remember when Hansel and Gretel got lost in the in the little childhood story, they got lost. They left breadcrumbs to find their way back. Well, of course, the birds came and ate up the breadcrumbs, but their mission or their purpose in dropping the breadcrumbs was to blaze a trail, right? Because they wanted to be able to lead someone to them in case they got lost, or they wanted to be able to find their way back. Same thing in relationships, right? If you're interested in someone and they're willing to learn, now that's key. If they're willing to learn, what's wrong with dropping breadcrumbs? Y'all talk back to me. I don't want to do a monologue tonight. I don't want to. I want y'all to talk. Like I said, the longer y'all talk to me, the longer I'll stay on. But what's wrong with dropping breadcrumbs if we're really trying to get back together? Because we got to fix it. I mean, because look at what's going on in society, man. I posted a video the other day of a young lady. Well, I'm gonna say a little girl. That's not a young lady. Not a young lady. A little girl in the classroom gets mad at her teacher, a substitute teacher, whatever it was, and throws a chair and hits the teacher in the back of the head. What's up, Ann? Let me ask you a question. If you would have went to school, I mean, because I know most of the people that listen to me are probably closer to my age or somewhere in their neighborhood, but if you would have done something like that, acted a fool, even cussed the teacher out, would you not have been afraid of the consequences of going back home? Because I know me, I couldn't have gone back in my house after acting a fool like that. There's no way. I mean, Phyllis would have knocked my lips off of my face and probably would have broke my arm. Man, well, it would have been some abuse. I'm joking when I say that, YouTube and Facebook and all that kind of stuff. But there would have definitely been some dire consequences if I would have gone to school and acted like that. And she knew, not that she felt like she needed it, but she knew that even if she didn't do it, she had backup from my daddy. And what she wouldn't have finished, my daddy would. So my point is, when there's a two-parent home, typically, and it's not always, but typically, when there's a two-parent home, consequences are taught, right? And so and the reason is because there should be balance in the parental structure of the family, because sometimes mama might get tired. And if she does get tired, then dad is available. Sometimes daddy might get tired, mama's available. And together y'all make this 100, whether it's 82-18, whether it's 60-40, whether it's 70-30, whether it's 91-9, whatever it takes, whatever one is missing, the other has. And that's what they use, right? Even in the rearing of the children. So there was no way on God's green earth I would have gone to school and acted a nut like some of these children act. And I really do wish that we could start the process of fixing some of these things. And I think the only way, or the most successful way to do so, is by fixing the family. But we can't even get dating right. Why? Y'all give me some reasons. Why can't we fix dating? What's the problem? Do we dislike each other that much? Real talk. Y'all talk back to me. I need some help. I need some serious answers. I mean, because I'm doing my part. This show is what I like to call a practical example. And I just put the link in the chat. So if anybody doesn't want to type it, but they want to come on and talk about it, you're welcome. It's open. It's open mic. Next week I have 3 young ladies on with me, and they'll be sharing their perspectives as it relates to dating. So I'm looking forward to that on next week. But I want to know, y'all talk to me. What is the problem? Why do we have so many issues when it comes to dating? Now, because listen, let me put this up right quick. This is it's not good. It's not good. It's not good. It's not good for us. I hear us all say, I'm settling, I mean, I'm not going to settle. I can do bad by myself. I refuse, it's not like I need a man. I heard all those, all of them sound good. But my background, this is what I believe. Now, like I said, I was married 20 years. I messed mine up. I'll admit that. I did my part. Unhealed trauma oftentimes cause trauma and date. I agree with that. Let me put that on the screen so somebody might see that. Unhealed trauma. Yeah. And trauma, we give trauma. That's good, Keisha. But can I ask you, do y'all think we give trauma too big of a platform? I mean, not mean our past trauma, and because I think sometimes we hang around trauma avenue so long, and trauma boulevard so long, and we use it as a crutch. And I'm not, and I'm perhaps in this. I'm perhaps in this because this is building to something. And you said pain makes it tough. Yeah, nobody likes pain. And I've used the expression in the past. Y'all have heard me on this show say that most times people would rather, when it comes to pain, people would rather amputate than rehabilitate. I'm gonna let that marinate for a moment. People would rather amputate than rehabilitate because of unhealed traumas, because of pain, and typically the rehabilitation process involves even more pain, and because you got to work those muscles, you got to work some areas, you got to do the work, and so, like I said, I think we lean on those traumas, and yeah, is trauma and pain the same? Y'all talk back, and if y'all haven't shared this thread yet, what you waiting on? Do that for me right quick. But yeah, this is where I'm at, because I've always held to this one. Now, Genesis 2:18 said, the Lord God said, it's not good that man should be alone. I got to use a different color next time. That man should be alone. He said, therefore, I will make him a helpmeet. I'll make a helpmeet for him. So he said, I remember when I was young in my relationship, a long time ago, I was at New Morning Star Baptist Church in North Little Rock, Arkansas. I walked up to, it was Pastor Jenkins' wife, Reverend Robert Jenkins' wife. And when she saw my girlfriend then, she said, are you the girlfriend? And she said, yes. And she grabbed her by her hand and walked away with her. And I asked her what she said later on. She said, she told me I was to help me. She said, your job is to help him meet his obligations. That's what she said. She said, your job is to help him meet his obligations. So at that point, what I heard was partnership. That's what I heard. I heard partnership. And then I saw somewhat of a hierarchy, right? Whereas if she helps him, then it builds the family, and then in turn that reciprocates, and then it mirrors and reflects, and then everything else builds and grows from there. But we get so caught up in my half and what I'm doing versus what you're doing instead of what we're doing, and all of these types of things, and we get affected by outside entities, right? And we become victims of what I call subliminal suggestion, because typically the advice that we get is from those that are outside of our community. Thank you for the stars, Ann. I appreciate that. Typically we get the advice. The advice we get is from those that are outside of our communities who don't share our cultural values. Culture is created, right? Every family, if you're a single mother with one child, you create a culture in your family. If you're a single mother with 3 children, you create a culture in your family. If you're married, you don't have any children, it's a culture created. And then if a child comes, then you build and you add on to that culture, right? Because cultures, but typically there's a DNA to each culture where it all kind of emanated from something. We come from a familial culture, right? Especially as African Americans, because we did the family reunion things, so we had Big Mama and folk like that. Those were our therapists in the day. We took their advice. We didn't get married if that, there's something wrong with that boy. I don't know, something with about the shape of his head. I don't know what it is. There's something wrong with that boy. And we really respected their values, right? Now we go on, because we're so egalitarian in culture. We just do what we do. And then if we don't like it, we just leave. And I understand, but when we make it so easy to leave, then we'll leave for anything. And therefore, I think it makes it even harder to get into relationships. Augustine said something there. Augustine was one of the church fathers, and he said this. He said, God has made us for himself, right? And he said, and our hearts are restless until it finds its rest in him. And whenever I think about that quote, I think about life being like a 1,000-piece puzzle. and God gives us it. He gives us at least 999 pieces. I like to think 998 pieces because I know life is incomplete without Him, but I also think life is incomplete without companion. I think I'm not gonna say it's incomplete, but I think it can be enhanced through companionship. But the challenge is to get into the companionship with the right person, right? And so when we stay around trauma avenue, as I call it, or trauma terrace, let me do that, trauma terrace, or if we stay around unhealed emotion expressway, or wherever we are, if we stay there and never move forward, how do we know if we've done the necessary work? Here's a question. Here's a question. Uh, well, here's a statement. You won't know if you're healed until you're in your next relationship. Do y'all agree with that? Do y'all agree with that? Y'all let me know. Y'all talk to me in the comments right quick. Let me know. Do you agree that you won't know if you're healed until you're in your next relationship? What you say, Ann? Let me read that. Ann said, yes, we just okay, she's still on that one. Yes, we just amputated. Sometimes we try to rehabilitate, then realize that only one person is trying to rehab. The other person is still causing pain. Yeah, that's not we, that's me then. I'm saying when we, if both, and then you're right, because it is, in order for rehabilitation to work, it's going to require that both parties are willing. Both parties have to be willing to make the necessary investment to make it. Now, if only one person is doing the work, it's because I used the 100% analogy a minute ago, but when somebody's checked out of it, then it becomes so much more of a strain, so much more of a strain. And also let me put this disclaimer out there, because I was accused for years, and it was probably true, of talking, especially on this podcast, talking about my past relationship, and everybody was like, well, it sounds like you haven't gotten over her, and that's all you talk about. Well, honestly, that's really the only relationship that I have to reference. I don't have a lot of other relationships that I can reference. So if I'm using something as an example, I can only speak from past experience. And I'm not going to speak about something that I have not experienced. So yes, out of 20 years, I had some good days. Out of 20 years, I didn't have very many bad days, and even writing this book, especially writing this book allowed me to revisit a lot of what I did in the past. And so therefore I got to look at it through different lenses. But am I over? Yes. Am I ready to move on? Yes. But when it comes to moving on, the last one I was in for 20 years. So the next one, I don't play this game y'all play. And I'm not accusing everybody of it, but some of us, I don't play. I'm not just getting it. I got to make sure. Does that make sense? I have to make sure. So what'd you say, Ann? I missed that. She said, no, I think when you're healed, when it doesn't bother you anymore. You don't have to be in a new relationship to figure that out. Yeah, but how do you know if the triggers don't? But something that new individual in the next relationship might trigger. Might remind you of something from the past relationship. Because, let me just say it like this. Something that has not been tested, how do you know if it can be trusted? How do you know? Because a person can go to rehab and stay in rehab for 90 days and do all 12 steps. And they think they got it, and they're reading the Bible, and they're praying, and they're going through devotion, and they're doing their thing. They're giving everybody high fives and going through the positive reinforcement. But the first moment they go back in the hood, and they have those familiar smells, and they hear those familiar sounds, and then all of a sudden that voice starts speaking in the back of their mind. And I respect your opinion. Don't think that I'm shooting it down, but I'm just, of course, if it can't stand scrutiny, it can't stand. And likewise, whatever I say, you all are welcome to scrutinize as well. But how do you know if it can be trusted if it has not been tested? So let's put it up there again. I'm gonna leave it up there for a minute this time. You won't know if you're healed This is my opinion now. I could be wrong. And I've been wrong before. And I really wish I could have found the video that talked about this. But you won't really know if you're healed until you're in your next relationship. Because I mean, all we hear everybody talk about is trauma, 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 trauma. Got to have a conversation. Trauma, pain, trauma. The last person hurt me, trauma. All women are this way, trauma. All men are this way, trauma. But most people who are speaking are typically speaking from their own personal experiences. And so I don't know how a personal experience, something that's specific, all of a sudden becomes general for everybody else. Because if there's something that is going on repetitively in your life, then you're the common denominator usually, right? So if you have a habit of picking bad women, that's on you. If you've had, because you might have been looking for something that you saw in your mother, or you might be looking for something you saw in somebody else, or in your past I don't know. Or likewise, vice versa. If you're looking for certain commonalities or traits in a man and it's not working, then that's on you. That's a 100%. I don't know. There's the personal. Somebody talked to me about this the other day. I'm not accountable. You're not accountable. You're not accountable. I don't know. I don't know. I think there's so many buzzwords that are out there now, and we use and we allow those buzzwords to stop us as it relates even going forwards to new relationships. I mean, the red flags. I think people look for red flags before they look for green flag. I say gray flag. I think people look for red flags before they even look for green flags. And that's just because they're looking for something or a reason, if you will, to leave. I mean, and maybe we look for a reason to leave because I use the analogy sometimes, if you commit suicide, then a person can't kill you. If you commit suicide, then a person can't kill you. So if you sabotage a relationship up front, or if you put a hand grenade, then you can say that I didn't fail. Y'all know people like that that'll create their own crisis, or whatever, So just to make instead of doing the necessary work, we're not gonna get along every day. We're not. And sometimes we might just sit on the couch, not say one word to each other, and that doesn't mean anything is wrong. We just soaking up each other. I think sometimes another person's presence can be a present. Just being there together. Just having a conversation. I mean, just having someone that if we need to talk, then we can talk. I mean, I don't know, but I think we struggle so much over simplicity. But it's fixable. It really is fixable. I think it's fixable. So what I want to do, like I said, starting on next week, if you tune in, and I'm going to start marketing this again. I wasn't expecting a whole lot tonight because, like I said, I'm tired. I have been traveling today, traveling all week, back and forth to Texas and all those different things. So I'm going to bring people on, and we're going to be very, very intentional about this show, talking about showing us how to date you. And we're going to have fun. We're going to have fun. Try to have an atmosphere where we're able to get along. I hope it's not any arguing, and that shouldn't be, because it's only going to be women on the show. It's going to be some men in the comments, but it's only going to be women in the show. So if you all start arguing, then that's on you all. So, but we're going to talk about show us how to date you. And throughout this series, we may bring in some married people, let them talk about how they started out dating and all those types of things. But I want to fix this community, help fix our community. And one of the ways to help fix our communities is by starting to repair some of the ruptures in our relationships. We got to fix some of the ruptures in our relationships. And the way to do that is on the wings of communication. We have to learn how to communicate, understand. Listen, women, you stop racking your brain trying to think like a man because you can't do it. And men, I don't know many men to do it, because last thing I'm gonna do is try to think like a woman. I can't, because I know it's impossible. And that's not a negative thing. That's not a bad thing. That's not saying you anatomically, it shouldn't be possible. Anatomically, because of our anatomical structure, our molecular structure, we should not be able to think alike. I don't want to think like a woman, and I don't understand why a woman wants to think like a man. And if you do, I 100% believe you're setting yourself up for frustration. So when you try to understand, I just don't understand. You weren't supposed to. I just don't get it. You weren't, but you know how you can understand? Ask. And that's it. Anything you want to know, just ask. I know with me, especially, I'm an open book. If I feel like, and if I don't feel like talking right then, I might not feel like it then. But give me a minute. Give me a minute. This world, bro. This world is you know, I know black women are under attack, but this world is hell for a black man. I mean, it's dumping stuff on our shoulders all the time, and what we need more than anything is support, and we'll reciprocate. I know I will. I can't speak for everybody else. I can't speak for everybody else. I only got my own fingerprints, and I'm glad I got my own custom made just for me. So I can't speak for everybody else, but that's where I am, and I think I speak for a lot of men. And if I don't, then we'll let them speak, and hopefully they'll be in the comments and they'll be sharing their thoughts as we bring these ladies on, and they share with us how to date them. I mean, they want to let us know how should we approach. I mean, because social media messes that up. We used to meet them at the mall. Now they can go shopping online. We used to meet them at the ball game, all kind of things. Now you got online dating. And so you can pick through the litter, have the pick of the litter beforehand. Make a decision before then, you know. So it's a lot, it's different. So we got to get through break down some of these barriers that are blocking us from having good relationships. And I think it's possible. I really do think it's possible. Do y'all think? I think it's possible. So, like I said, I wasn't gonna be on long tonight because I'm getting ready to go to bed and watch the rest of this football game. And then I might come on again during the course of the week so I can try to build some of this up. But starting on next Monday night, we're going to start the series, Show Us How to Date You. I'm going to bring Coy back. I'll bring some other people back that have been on in the past. And we'll let them tell us how to date them. They'll let us, and then hopefully, you know, you can learn some secrets. You might ask questions. What's your favorite flower? What's your favorite color? You know, if you know what their favorite flower is, then you can send flowers. If they like tulips, you know, you can get. Then they say, "What's their favorite color?" Then they like say red, pink. Then you can kill two birds with one stone by sending some pink tulips. But you gotta do the work. Ask them what kind of food they like. Well, they say they like seafood. Well, now you can go to online, find a restaurant you can afford. Make a reservation and do the best you can. Hey, you know, it's ways to make this work, but you have to ask the right questions, right? Then I'm hearing now dinner's not even a good date. Well, what's a good date? Let me know. You want to go on a hike? Do you like doing outdoors things? I mean, because I don't want to show up at the house and we get ready to go out to dinner or go for a hike, but you come out in 6-inch heels. I mean, there was a communication gap somewhere. So we got to fix these things. And people don't even pick people up for dates now. Now they meet at the restaurant or meet at the venue. You know, it's so different now. And so now, like I said, I want to put these things out. And if we're successful, that's good. If we are, what's up, Anthony? If we are successful, then we'll kind of find a template, if you will. A metaphorical GPS formula. That's a good one. We'll find a formula that will help us when it comes to figuring out how to date. And then once we start dating, then we might actually find out that we like each other. And then we might go to the next step. Now, listen, with that, steps go in stages 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Next thing you know, you're in a committed relationship. Now you're in a monogamous relationship. You might end up wanting to get married, whatever. But it's hard to go from 1 to 7. Like I hear somebody, I'm dating to get married. Okay, that's fine. But I don't know if I like you yet. Or you don't even know if you like me yet. So if you put that wall up front, I think sometimes, a lot of men operate from this platform, ladies. And I know you might not like it, but it is we have to accept certain things about you. So there are certain things that I think you should also accept about us. But a lot of us, we as men operate from the mentality of what's understood shouldn't have to be explained. If I'm spending all my time with you, if we're going out, if we're doing these things, I obviously like you. One thing about me, I don't hang around people I don't like. I've never been good. Bush, what's up? What's up, Dr. Bush? Answer this for me. You've been knowing me a long time, and tell them, have I ever been able to fake it? I just haven't been able to fake it. And you know me. Have I ever been able to fake it? I can't. So if I'm hanging around you, if I desire to be in your presence, if we go anywhere and are seen in public, then I probably like you a little bit. There's probably some potential there because I don't hang around. So if I don't say it yet, that means that I'm probably in somewhat of what you call like we're in an evaluation stage, or we're more than that. I think in the old days they used to call that something about getting to know you. that was shade. I think that's what they used to call that, getting to know somebody. But now we think we know everything about them up front because we read a few things on their profile, because we saw some things on their social media. Now we think we know them. I don't hang with anybody. So if I let you in my personal space, there's probably potential. It is. I'm an introvert. I've asked a few women to come on the show, and they're like, I'm an introvert. I'm like, I am too. But if you look, if I turn this camera around, there's nobody in the room but me. So who am I with to avoid or be afraid of? I'm worried about seeing me. And even when I preach, I can preach in front of thousands of people, but I got a gulf between me. I mean, and I can walk out the back door if I need to afterwards. But so yeah, I'm an introvert as well. So if I let people in my personal space, I obviously must either care about them or like them. I don't even have to use you for anything because it's nothing I want. I have everything I need. I have everything I need. So, and if I don't have it, I don't need it, and that's cool with me. I've learned. Dr. David Dedrick said something, and I learned at the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff a long time ago. What makes us human beings is our abilities to adapt. I can adapt to any situation. So I even learned to be alone. But was that a good thing? No. But I had to learn to be alone so I could be comfortable being with somebody else. Now that and I've heard it for the last 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Are you dating? Are you dating? That's one person. Are you dating? Are you dating? No. Well, now I'm about ready. So I'm gonna bring some of these young ladies on, and they're gonna help us by telling us how to date. Every now and then, like I said, I might sprinkle a man in, let him ask some questions, all those kind of things. But for the most part, I want to bring in women and have these women come in, and I've been in contact with at least 7 or 8 so far. And my goal is to bring on 3 a week. And if you want to participate, my inbox is open. If you're tired of seeing the divide between black men and black women specifically, but men and women also, because it started to affect other cultures as well. If you're tired and you want to tell people how to date and some of your experiences that you think will make dating relationships successful. Now, if it has not been successful for you, don't bring it over here. Real talk. Like I just said earlier, and if it hadn't been tested, it can't be trusted. If it has not been tested, it can't be trusted. And another thing, if you're not dating, then, or if no one is trying to date you, then you might need to sit in the audience and learn some things as well. But I'm trying to bring on people who are actively dating. And so I'm going to sit back. I'm going to sit on the moderator's seat, and I'm going to ask questions. And I hope that people will come on and be transparent, share their experiences. And once they share their experiences, then people in the comments or in the audience will be able to glean from those experiences. And we'll learn. And then next thing you know, a few months down the road, they might come back and say, hey, Kirk, show us how to date you. And now I've met this one young lady, and she's beautiful. But I'm sorry, I said young lady. Somebody told me not to call a woman young lady. That was a demeaning, derogatory term. I met this beautiful woman. I changed it. And now we're exclusive, and we're trending towards marriage. I would love to have those testimonies. I would love, and I'll marry you. I mean, I got my license. I'll do it. I'll marry you for $199.99. I'm joking. I got it that time, y'all. No, I didn't. But I pulled my microphone on. But that's that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. Y'all see me on here trying to catch this doggone fruit. I bet it better not be a flea. My dog is in here now, but I think it's a fruit fly because I left the screen door open. But that's my goal. That's really my goal, ladies and gentlemen. And I think we can do it. I think we can do it. I think we can do it. We can bring some people on, and we can hopefully some of brothers will get a little softer, uh, and we can hear our sisters' hearts as they teach us how to date them, as they show us how to date them. And I'm gonna be taking notes. Who is this? Let me see what it says. Marry us. Um, I marry you. Hey, I can do it, bro. Hey, look, I got license. I got license, and I got well, I don't fit. I can't fit my collar anymore. My collar's a 16 and a half, 17, but I'm in an 18 now, so I got to go back to a new collar. But it's I put on weight. I put on weight. Can you believe I'm a 17 and a half, 18 in the neck now? I was a 16 and a half all my adult life, but now I'm up into an 18. But that's all right. God's restoring the years, and I'm rebuilding this wardrobe. I'm gonna be wearing Burberry's like Anthony McCurry. No, I don't even want that Burberry. I can't do it like you, Anthony. You're that dude. But Anthony got his woman, and he publicly affirms her, and I appreciate that. Lakeisha, what's that coffee and eyes and the laughing for? I don't know, but I'm getting fat. Are you calling me fat? It's all gravy. But that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do. Are y'all gonna help for real, ladies? Come to the table with an open mind, with a non-judgmental spirit. Do me a favor. I want to challenge us, but my neck. But I want to challenge us. That was the wrong finger. My bad. I gotta say. But I want to challenge us for real. Come to the table with an open mind. Pull out a metaphorical about my neck being 18. He's so stupid. Pull out a metaphorical eraser and try your very best to erase all of your past negative experiences. I mean, do like God does. Cast it into the sea of forgetfulness, never to arise again. Do it. Just do it. Come with an open table. Come with a empty canvas, and let's try to pull out the paint. Pull out the paint brushes, and if it's a composition sheet, let's pull out the notes, and let's see if we can build a beautiful symphony of relationships, right? By listening and talking and communicating one with the other. And I believe I just got the sneaky suspension. Well, to help teach what? I ain't said I needed any teachers. I said I need women to come on and show us how to date you. Well, I'm just playing, Anthony. You know you're one of my contributors. But you hit me in the inbox and we'll talk about what you're talking about. Help. But he can though, because he does. He does publicly affirm his woman, and a lot of dudes don't do that. They don't, and we don't realize that how much. And listen, affirmation is like oxygen for the soul. So if you do publicly affirm someone, and they see that, they know that you don't have anything to hide. And I get that. I get that. So now, Anthony, I will be bringing you on sometimes to help me in this series. But it's going to be a series. It's going to be a series. It's going to be a series, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Show us how to date you next Monday night, starting at 9 o'clock weekly until I say, hey, Terry Thomas Bridges, until I say otherwise. So I've already had some women that, like I said, that have agreed to come on. I have not quite picked my first panel. I need some women in their 20s. I need some women. I need some people who and I hate to say this about my late 40s and 50s somethings and mid 40s and something. I need some people who hadn't been damaged yet, or hadn't been hurt too bad yet. You know, because sometimes our hurt and our damage can skew our perspective. Does that make sense? And I don't want to speak for. I don't want to only hear, and not that I'm not saying that I'm only going to hear from this. No, let me quantify that statement. But I don't only want to hear from those that are speaking from an unhealed place. I want to hear from those sometimes that are green. You know, I mean, I think I spoke with one 25-year-old, but and she's agreed to come on. But I want to find some people that'll come on and young 20 somethings, 30 somethings, 40 something. I think my audience is probably about 28 to about 55, somewhere in that range. And and I want them to come on and talk. But let's talk, and we're gonna think it through. We're gonna think it through. Some of us that are right on the verge of being critical thinkers, sometimes I'm gonna challenge your psyche just a little bit to make you see it another way, just a different way, slightly. And if you're willing, then it's good. I had a conversation with a white gentleman on the plane this morning, and sometimes people can be so opinionated. They can be very opinionated. And we started talking about the NIL deals, the name, image, and likeness for college students. And his statement was, I just don't like to see them getting paid like that. And it was so blanket. It was just an empty blanket statement. I said, well, I love it. He said, why? I said, because what about that child that is playing for that university, but couldn't afford to get a plane ticket to go home for Thanksgiving? And he said, now that you mention it like that, it makes sense. So my point is, he was able to think critically and change his mind, be able to come in with that type of mindset. Same scenario. A few weeks ago, I was right in the airport, and this white guy was coming towards me. He's tatted from neck down, arms, looked like prison tats. I mean, it was, and he looked like an Aryan. I was prepared to cold shoulder him. I didn't want to say a word to him, call me biased, whatever you want to call me. I just wasn't prepared to say anything to him. But when he walked up, I walked up to me. We standing there, and I could tell he was uncomfortable. And he looked at me, he just started a conversation. And I forgot what he said initially, but within the first 2 minutes of the conversation, his name is Andrew too. And I hope Andrew hears this, but Andrew was going his way back to Texas. But Andrew looked at me, like I said, all those tattoos, looking at his shoes, everything. And he said, yeah, man, I just got out of prison. I said, oh yeah? I said, okay. And then he said, so I still don't want to talk. I don't know you. I don't know you. I don't know you, and I don't know what you believe. But obviously, you must not believe what I thought you believed because you started a conversation with me. Duh. So, I started opening up a little bit. And Andrew said, man, yeah, I just got out, and this is my first time flying. My heart automatically started to feel compassion for Andrew. So I thought about Andrew being in prison for the last however many years he was. He eventually told me, I forgot what it was. And I thought about him possibly being on the inside. I've never been to prison, never been anything like that. So all I know is what I've seen on TV. So I'm thinking about Atlanta, Georgia, and the TSA, and how the TSA will yell at you and all this kind of stuff. So I said, bro, let me tell you, when you get up here, they're going to be yelling at you like I don't know what. Don't let your anxiety kick in. It ain't that serious. I said, do what they tell you to do and keep it moving. So I'm starting to feel compassion for Andrew. So Andrew, we walk up together. He takes off his shoes like I do, take off his belt like I did, put everything, go through. And so we get through on the other side. And Andrew followed me like a puppy. Then all of a sudden he's like, I don't know what to do now. I said, you got to go to your gate. How do I do that? I said, okay, guys, Andrew, I got you. No problem. Because I had plenty of time. I said, let me get your ticket. So I took his ticket, looked at his ticket, saw whatever his concourse was, and he got on. And have y'all liked and shared this video yet? But anyway, he got on. I'm so scatterbrained. So he got on. So I told him go to concourse D, whatever it was, and look for the numbers, and he'll be able to find what he needed. And so he said, thank you. But my point is, I had a preconceived notion, but I changed my mind. When you come into this show, you might have a preconceived notion, and when it talks about showing us how to date you, however it went in the past, however somebody might have hurt you in the past, I apologize for them. If they never do it, I'm doing it. But let's come in next week with a open mind. Let's come in with a right spirit, and let's come like empty, like we say in church. Let's come in as empty pitchers before a full fountain, and let's come in willing to learn. And if you don't agree with something, you don't always say, you don't have to, when somebody says something, these conjunctions are powerful in human interaction, especially in speech. And the conjunction but versus the conjunction and makes a huge difference. I mean, you can come in and say, but no, that don't, just because it doesn't work for you doesn't mean it doesn't work for somebody else. So don't say but, say and. Add an amendment, offer another opportunity, offer another scenario, because guess what? Somebody's going to agree with that person, and then somebody's going to agree with that person. But at the end of the day, now we have something else that we can go by because somebody's looking for an answer and they need it and they need your help. So I'd rather give you options. I don't want to give you solutions because if you hang your hat on everything I say, then that's too much responsibility on me. I'm sorry. I don't want it. I don't want to get somebody else to do it, as that old lady said. Get somebody else to do it. I don't want it. I do not want that much responsibility. Will I give you some advice? Some people come in my inbox now and ask my opinion on certain things. I will give it. I will. But they have the option. Remember this. If you don't remember anything else I told you tonight, advice is optional. Advice is optional because some people don't give it from the right place. I typically try to give advice from the context of my experience. If it's, sometimes spiritually, God will give me a word of knowledge for somebody. I'll give it from the context of that. If something that I might have read, researched, I'll give it from that. But if it's something I don't know anything about, I don't mess with that because I don't want to be responsible for that. Yep. So next week, I'm going to bring 3 different women and they're going to share their experiences and I'm going to ask questions and they're going to answer those questions. And if they don't want to answer it, then guess what? If 3 can't answer it, hopefully one of them can answer it. And if one can answer it, that's better than neither one of them being able to answer it, right? So that's where we are, and that's what we're going to do. So this week, of course, I'll be asking questions as it relates to relationships. If you would, please, ma'am, please, sir, participate in those questions because I use that information to share with other people. And when I use that information, hopefully somebody can identify with it. And like I said, if I ask you to come on the show, I got you. I'm not going to put you in a bad position. I don't ever bring anybody on my show to embarrass them. And when people used to embarrass people, you should have saw the tongue lashes I would give them in our private groups because I just don't like as a Cancer, and being in a shell, I don't like being embarrassed. I don't want to bring anybody else on and embarrass them. This is informative. Now, if you try me, I'm pretty good with my tongue. Yeah, literally, I'm pretty good with it. I mean, I can get you off me if I have to, but I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. I want us to be friends, and I want us to, like I said, grow together. And that's what we can do. We can do that. We can do that. We can do that. So this week will be leading up to next week's show called "Show Us How to Date You." And let me see something right quick. See if I can find something. I appreciate y'all for rocking with me tonight. Those of you all that are hanging with me, I appreciate y'all. Y'all are the real MVPs. I know I'm probably not as talkative tonight as I usually am, but things happen, and that's okay. Like I said, I'm tired anyway because I've been traveling all day, and that's where I'm at. So I'm trying to download this file right quick. Give me a second. So who's gonna listen in next week, and who's gonna help me figure this out, as far as help us figure out what's going on? I mean, if you're like I said, if you're excited about, I've been on for 53 minutes. I said I was getting off 35 minutes ago. I'm trying to find something. And give me 1 second. Brand, boom, background. And I've gotten much better with this computer and my graphics and stuff. But it's hard to do it when you're the only one on the show at that moment. But and that's why a lot of times I used to have people on just to listen. I would bring them on kind of so they could talk, so I could handle some of the logistical things. Let me see if this is the right one. This might not be the right one. That's not what I was looking for. That's fine. I'll bring it on. I'll bring it on next week. You'll be chilling in the audience. I have a tooth getting a root canal next Monday. Prayers, please. Oh yeah. Well, you take care. But you'll be through by 9 o'clock. You can still listen. You'll be chilling. Lakeisha, you might be on the show if I call you and ask you to be on the show. So don't be surprised. Or if I inbox you and ask you to be on the show. So don't be surprised if never know who I might ask to be on. So, but cause like I said, Yeah, I don't have to bring. You don't have to have a major following and all that stuff. I like to hear real life experiences. Oh, that's what I was trying to do. Was that what I was trying? No, I know what I was trying to do now. No, I'm not gonna do it now. And it's, yeah, follow my page. I was going to show y'all the flyer for something to talk about, for show us how to date you, but y'all have seen it already, so it's all good, all gravy. But I think I'm done now. I think I've ranted long enough. I don't like to not do a show. If like I said, if I'm just gonna get on here and talk for a few moments, I'm gonna come on and say something. And if 2 or 3 people come on with me, that's enough. I'm cool with that. So. And I got to get my music fixed too. I got some things I got to work on. Time for some changes. It's time. Oh. But yeah. So I'm out. 9:55. Been real. I'm about to get off here, and I think I'll be on later on this week again, and we'll talk about some other things. I want to talk about this some more because I think if I find this video, I think it will make a difference. You won't know if you're healed until you're in your next relationship. I'm out. The world is changing. My question for you is, why do you remain the same? Good night. If you want to support the platform, these are the ways to give. I'm going to run this for a moment, and then I'm out. But there you go. Thank you. Good night.